In this video, we're going to learn how to use the autofill and fill series features in Excel. Generally, we use these when we want to create a numbered list or a list of dates or something of that nature in order to start filling out a spreadsheet. So for instance, let's say we go to this cell and we want to create a numbered list, say from 1 to 20. I could type in 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and that would work just fine. But the problem is, the further I go, the longer it's going to take. So Excel has given us the ability to autofill up to a certain point. So if we click on the first cell in the list and we go to the bottom right-hand corner of the cell, you'll see the cursor changes into a black cross. And you can click and drag that down. And Excel will repeat the pattern that it recognizes from the top. In this case, we only selected the first cell, so it took 1 and copied it down about 20 times. If we wanted to go to the 1, 2, 3, 4 again, so we delete these and type in 1, 2, we could select those two and it will repeat that pattern all the way down. So let's go to a different column, and this time let's say that we want every even number, 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. I could type in 2, 4, 6, and then drag down. And you can see it recognizes the pattern, and all I need to do is type in those first few numbers. I could do the same thing with odd numbers, or every 5. I could go 5, 10, 15, 20, or every 10. It'll repeat the pattern over and over and over again as long as it can recognize the pattern. The same thing is true with months. Let's say I start with January, and as I start to drag down, it automatically recognizes that that's a pattern. The other thing that I can do is type in a date. Let's say the 4th of July. And let's say that I select and copy it down. It's going to take me to the 5th and the 6th and so on as I drag down. On the other hand, we could do this again. So the 4th of July is at the top and I want to do every week. So I would then type the 11th of July, combine those two cells and drag them down. I could do the same thing if I wanted to do it by month or by year and so forth. So now I'm going to clear out and move away from these dates here. Let's suppose that we had a 1 and a 2 pattern here, but there was a different format. So I had one that was gray fill and one that was no fill. We want to take and copy that pattern down. If I select both of these and drag them down, notice that it takes the pattern with it. Now, when you do one of these autofills where you click and drag, at the bottom right you'll see this little option button for autofill options, and it gives you some more options here. You could copy the cells, you could fill the series, fill the formatting only, fill it without formatting, or flash fill, which is when you double click to drag all the way to the bottom. The default is to do a fill series, which is what we've done here. Let's say in the next column I want to go back to the scenario 5, 10, and so forth. I could click and drag down and you'll see that that starts the pattern. The other thing though, if I double click at this bottom, it will flash fill to the bottom. Now that will work only in as much as there is data to the left of it so it knows how far to go. If I were to repeat the same thing over here, select those cells and double click, it would not work. But a small tip is if you select those cells to the left that are blank so that it does line up, you can double click and it will recognize and fill all the way to the end of your list. So let's keep scrolling over to the right, and there's one more thing that I want to show you. Let's say that we wanted to do a number list, and actually we wanted to go to 375,000. If I start off with filling by, let's do by 100. So I do 100 and then 200, and I start to drag down. Getting to 375,000 is going to take a long time, and it can be pretty lengthy. In fact, it's a little bit too long to wait. So what I can do instead is use the fill series feature in Excel. And in this case, I've already typed in 100 and 200. We'll clear out the rest of those that I dragged down previously. And what I want to do is on the Home tab, I can go over to the Fill option here. And I'll choose the Series button to open up that dialog box. It then asks me what I'd like to do the series in, whether it's rows or columns. In this case, it's a column. We'd like to stay in the same column that we're in. And we want the step value to, instead of being 1, we want it to be 100, and we'd like to stop at 375,000. So if we click OK, you will see it fills that list. I'm going to hit Control down all the way to the end, just like we wanted the series to go. So that's how you can use the Fill Series feature to make it faster to fill out data where you have a lot of numbers to fill in. Generally, I only use Fill Series instead of the copy and drag if I have large amounts of data that I want to fill in. If it's pretty reasonably short, then a couple hundred cells or whatever, I'll usually just copy and drag it down. The other thing that we can do in Fill Series is I can type in, let's say my start value is 1 in this case. I'm going to go back over here to Fill on the Home tab of the ribbon, and then again choose Series. I'm going to choose Columns, and then I'm going to choose a growth this time, and my step value or my increment value will be by 2. And let's just say our stop value is 100,000. So this is going to be an exponential growth, and you'll see what I mean by that in a moment here. When I click OK, you'll see that it's growing by multiplication. So I'm multiplying by that 2 each time, and the number is getting larger and larger. It ends, you'll notice, not at 100,000 like I had typed in, but at the number immediately prior to that, because if I were to multiply by 2 here, it would be over 100,000. So these are all examples of how you can use the Fill Series and autofill or flash fill features in Excel to expand on a pattern that you have in your data. This same feature with clicking and dragging the bottom right hand corner of a cell also works with formulas, and we'll cover more on that in future videos.